It took me ages to get into The Office. Back in my Tumblr days, I would see GIF sets of certain scenes. Jim and Pam were absolutely everywhere. I was aware of it. In the way when something is very prominent in pop culture, you know things about it without even meaning to. And it ended in 2012. Years later, and I'm talking years later, I see The Office on Netflix and decide to give it a chance. That first time I watched it, I kind of liked it sometimes, but I mostly didn't like it. I was there for Jim and Pam only. That I liked. Everything else, I was like, this is so hard to watch. All these people are so mean to each other. And this Michael Scott guy is unbearable. And in general, cringe humor just isn't my cup of tea. So I think I gave it a few seasons until Jim and Pam finally got together, and then I just gave up. Then enter the pandemic. Enter lockdown. First, for me personally, it was paradise because I'm a textbook introvert and I have social anxiety. And I was like, oh my God, like I get to stay home in my pajamas and do whatever I want and not have to be around people. This is the best. That was around the beginning when everyone was like, oh, it's only 2 weeks. We can do this. This will be over in no time. It's no big deal. Everyone who wasn't on the front lines and was fortunate enough to be able to stay home were, you know, making sourdough and playing Animal Crossing. I myself watched like half of my Netflix watch list and started therapy over FaceTime, which was nice. Then the novelty wore off after about a month, and the panic started to really set in about how different our lives were going to be for the foreseeable future, possibly even longer. And shockingly, I missed people. I missed avoiding eye contact with strangers. I missed forced small talk with both strangers and coworkers, and then overthinking everything that I said before I went to sleep. I missed the experience of getting dressed and everything to go out instead of stewing in my sweats every day. I missed the outside. Most of all, I missed being around familiar people who were familiar with me. Pre-pandemic, I didn't have the sort of job where I could just work from home and switch to like Zoom meetings. So I was out of a job completely. And I missed that bit of normalcy of seeing the same people semi-regularly, even if we weren't particularly close or like friends. It was just the normalcy of that I was missing. Enter The Office. Here was the sitcom that offered this little glimpse into regular life, you know, life and the before times, the awkward bits and all, which masochistically I was missing. So one day I just started watching it again, and this time I actually liked it. Episode after episode, season after season, I just kept watching every single day. It was like my new little daily ritual. I got to the point where even hearing the opening theme was just comforting to me. This is also the reason I became obsessed with Parks and Rec, but that's for a separate video. So, yeah. I like The Office now, like 15 years after everyone else. But there are still some issues I have about the series as a whole, and I got some strong opinions. So, here they are, my hot takes on The Office. Even though Jim and Pam are what got me to watch The Office in the first place, in my opinion, Michael and Holly are the best couple on the show. Jim and Pam are, of course, charming and lovely. Like, don't get it twisted. I love them. I do. They have their issues later on, I guess, as any couple does. Don't totally mind Angela and Dwight, though the whole murdering her cat thing was not ideal. But most of the other shows' couples are kind of a joke. I mean, Kelly and Ryan never stay together. They break up every 5 seconds. Andy and Aaron, come on. Later seasons, Andy is the worst. Yeah, Holly was clearly Michael's soup snake, and he was clearly hers. I thought it was so nice that they introduced Holly after the pure hell that Jan put him through. He deserved someone as kind as Holly. They deserved each other. I love how she always goes along with his bits. I love watching the actors just riff off of each other. Perfect chemistry. Number 2, Karen deserved better. I, of course, love Rashida Jones. I believe this was her TV comedy debut. Of course, she had to be Jim's rebound, I'm totally over Pam girlfriend. Poor Karen. She moved states to Scranton for him, and he could barely remember she was there half the time. The Pam versus Karen stuff got to be a bit much, but I liked how in later seasons they make amends. It was sweet. Jim, on the other hand, never quite took enough responsibility for how he basically used Karen to cope with being rejected by Pam. At least not on screen. I wish they'd shown that at least. But at least she finds a great guy and gets married later, and they have a baby with someone who is actually into her. So she did get better in the end. The music choice for the flash mob at Jim and Pam's wedding was deeply unfortunate and aged badly immediately. Music choice in question was a song by Chris Brown. For the record, the episode aired 8 months after Chris Brown had assaulted Rihanna. After that incident, many radio stations across America banned his music for years, which was a big deal. But then, 8 months later, one of the biggest television shows on the air sees TV's most popular couple getting married with everyone dancing to Chris Brown during the wedding, which was viewed by 9.42 million people. Yeah, that was not a good look. Like, at all. Then all these years later, whenever I watch that episode, I mean, I enjoy seeing Jim and Pam get married, and then, boom, Chris Brown. It's so jarring. What the hell were the director and the producers thinking? The episode was directed by Paul Feig, who has gone on to direct many movies that I enjoy. And listen, I get that episodes are filmed months and months in advance before they hit the air, but they could have possibly changed the song in post-production, or hell, even refilmed the scene. They had 8 whole months to do it. I'm sorry, there's just no excuse. Number 4. Jan is the character equivalent of a social experiment. She starts out very innocuous. Very straight man, secondary character. In season 1, she exists solely to roll her eyes at whatever Michael says, which, to be fair, is maybe the most consistent part of her character in every season. Then she just spirals, and she spirals hard. I genuinely think her developing romantic feelings for Michael Scott did something irreparable to her psyche. All jokes aside, I feel like in later seasons the writers were just having her do anything because she's Jan and she's crazy. She's not even really a person by the last season. She's just a mildly antagonistic caricature that thinks she can sing. 5. Creed is hilarious and underrated. He's an absolute wild card, and you never know what he's doing or what he's going to do. He doesn't even know. He's either chaotic evil or chaotic neutral. It depends on the day. Get the sense that he's plotting something. You just don't know what, and maybe you don't want to know. Half the time, he can't even remember anybody's names, and he's worked with them for years. He's an amazing guitar player. I mean, there's that. He's an expert at chess, but thinks that a Word document is his blog. Which, to be fair, is a very accurate portrayal of seniors working with technology. He has some of the best one-liners. Creed is chaos. Creed is an enigma. I wish I could adopt him as my grandpa. 6. People are too mean to Kevin and it makes me sad. Yes, he's simple. Yes, sometimes he talks before thinking, or doesn't do much thinking at all. Yes, there was that one time that he spilled his secret recipe chili all over the floor and then tried to scoop it back up into the pot like a bunch of people were gonna eat floor chili. He has a good heart. He tried to help that turtle that he ran over with his car. I mean, he really tried. And he stood up for Oscar and Angela when they were both being used and manipulated by the senator. And yes, also, I know, he is the punching bag character archetype, along with Toby and Meredith. Every show has at least one. No, your Squidwards, your George Costanzas, your Jerry, Gary, Larry Gergiches. TV Tropes calls this character trope the butt monkey. Which is so funny. I swear I'm an adult. But still, it makes me sad, especially when they resort to fat jokes all the time. Leave Kevin alone. Number 7. Phyllis is queen of the world. She goes after what she wants. She's sassy, but in a wry, understated way. And she don't give a shit. She also married Bob Vance of Bob Vance Refrigeration. She's an actual queen of refrigeration. At the beginning, Angela pushes her around a lot and, you know, she's really sensitive, but she really comes into her own a few seasons later. Also, she's bold enough to listen to erotic audiobooks, not just in public, but at work. I mean, I would never. I could never, but hey. Do you, queen? Number 8, season 1 is awful, and I stand by that. Every time I watch it, I still hate it. The first time I watched the show, I almost quit watching it entirely because of the first season. I was like, I can't get through this. This is awful. Why do people enjoy this? Finally, I just muscled through, got to season 2, especially the episode where Jim throws a party, and the Christmas episode, and then Booze Cruise. And then finally I went, okay, I think I get it now. It went up from there. But season 1 is still consistently unbearable for me every single time. They were really leaning into the cringe humor during those 6 episodes, like extra hard. And it's just too much for me to endure. Which brings me to my next point. Number 9, Scott's Tots is unbearable. It's unwatchable. It's the one episode that comes on that makes me go, oh, Oh God, no. I have to change the channel. And by unwatchable, I mean that it makes me cringe so hard that my face might permanently stay that way. If I ever watch it again, I'm in great danger of having a full body cringe so powerful that I cave into myself and transform into a black hole that swallows up the earth and the solar system as we know it. The secondhand embarrassment, sadness I feel for those disadvantaged black kids that just had their entire futures ripped out from underneath them. The looks on all of their faces, it's too much. It's the worst. Ugh, just thinking about it. Let's move on. 10. Gabe dressed as Lady Gaga for Halloween for that one episode. I find him attractive. He's attractive to me. Don't ask me why. I don't know why. 11. The show should have ended when Steve Carell left the show. Steve, and therefore Michael, was the heartbeat of the show. I think this is something that everyone knows. The rest of the cast was amazing as well, obviously. But once Steve left, it just wasn't quite the same. Tone of the show really changed. You can tell the writers tried their best to make it feel the same, especially with the last season. Season 8 was kind of a mess. We did get some new, interesting characters out of it, though. I know this is an unpopular opinion, but I actually love Nellie. She's fun. I don't know. I also like Pete. But yeah, it just wasn't the same after he was gone. I started the show thinking that Michael Scott was the worst. Then when he left, I was like, wait, he's actually leaving for real? Wait, what? No! He has a great character arc. He matures, he changes a lot, he becomes this big, warm-hearted softie, which he always kind of was from the beginning, but like he was so like annoying and awkward that it made it hard to tell. It made me appreciate him, and he was sorely missed when he was gone. I also think it's weird that Will Ferrell was on the show for like 2 seconds, trying to make him the new Michael, and then that was just like instantly done. And then they tried to make Andy the new Michael, which was disastrous. Before that, I actually occasionally liked Andy. After he became manager, I just couldn't stand him. So, yeah, it should have ended when Michael left. And the showrunners should not have screwed over Steve Carell the way that they did. And that's it for this round of hot takes. Should I say it in like more of a like game showrunner voice? And that's it for this round of hot takes. Let me know what you think in the comments. If you agree, if you disagree, if you disagree so strongly you think I should be smacked across the face with a mackerel. What are your thoughts on The Office? Also, as you can see, I kind of just like did my own thing for my style this video, because I don't know, I just didn't really feel like doing an Office theme or felt like dressing like anyone in the show. I find corporate casual clothing really basic and gross. Subscribe if you want, and don't forget to give me a like, because it's like a little present. Alright, that's it. Bye!